thank you, first and foremost, for allowing me to speak into your lives. The topic that I'm actually going to be speaking to today is called Staying the Course. Now, I don't know what the demographics of our audience are. What does that mean? I'm not so sure whether you're here because you're interested in business, you're here because you're interested in growing your finances and multiplying it, you're here because you want to know about investments. I don't know. But what I do want to say is I'll be sharing from my experience. I'll be going back to where it all started from. The slides are there, that's great. I'll be providing some context as well. But before I start, the one thing I do, this is a little bit shaky, let me hope I don't lean on it so much. But yeah, before I start, the one thing I do want to say is there's nothing special about me, nothing at all. I'm just like all of you. The only difference is, based on my life, where I started from, the things that I've had to go through, what I've seen, they've kind of dictated where the next course of my life is going to go. So today, I'll be talking to you about everything in terms of what you've learned with Jonathan from the big service, straightforward financial goals, and how you can stay on track with whatever it is you want to do. So let's get started. So, next slide, please. Yeah, okay. So when Jonathan asked me to speak, I asked him, I said, Jonathan, what have you been speaking on? You know, I said to him, what would you like me to talk to the church about? And Jonathan said to me, I asked him what the whole year had been, and he said, all our teachings are from the straightforward financial guide. We'll have done the whole book, and I'm finalizing the last chapter this week. So the focus is on making money and more money, keeping it, the management of money, and growing it. Is that correct for all of you? Perfect. Okay. So let's go back, to think about how this message started. So I was on holiday a few weeks ago. It was my birthday, the 4th of July. Yeah. Next slide. Yeah, so I was on holiday and I was thinking, I said to God, I said, Lord, what do you want me to talk about? Because the truth is, and I'm grateful for this. The Lord has blessed me so much, and I can talk on a number of subjects, and I'm grateful for that. But I said, Lord, when I stand on that platform on that day, tell me what you want me to talk about. It was around 3 o'clock at night. And I just want to give the big service people credit because it's been going for 1 year, guys. 1 year. Can we give him a hand of applause? Yeah? Okay. So I will be talking about staying on track and how to achieve success. But before we do that, let's go back to the person that's standing in front of you. So let's start with the first slide. Yeah? So, a long time ago, in a place called Kitgum. Next slide, please. Anyone know Kitgum? There was a young gentleman, a young, tall, handsome, amazing young man, Mr. Casanova of the village. Pastor Lincoln, I've had them always say, when Pastor Grace is talking about Pastor Lincoln, she always says he was a tall, dark young man. Pastor Lincoln, you have nothing on my father. Yeah, yeah. So there's a tall, dark man, well-built, and he lived in a village called Muchwini. Anyone know Kitgum? Anyone ever heard of Kitgum? No? Okay. And then a few miles down the road, there's a lady, a young, beautiful woman. She was beautiful. My mother was amazing, absolutely amazing. Auntie Connie knows my mom, She was of mixed heritage. She was Indian, Munyoro, and a Choli. So my dad was smitten by this woman, and he said, you know what? No one else is going to have this lady apart from me. So against all odds, because for those of you that know those days, this was the 70s, you'll know that most cultures did not want an Acholi getting married to someone from a different culture. So it was quite challenging for my mom. But against all odds, she got married to this man, and they gave birth to the first child, and then a second child. And they named that second child Ade. Why? Because my grandmother was fed up of girls. First and foremost, she was fed up that my father had married a woman that wasn't a true Choli. But also she was fed up of girls. So they called me Ade. What does it mean? I am fed up. You know? So anyway, my parents got married. And then I was due to have my immunization. Next slide, please. So I was due to have my immunization. My mom took me for my immunization somewhere in Kidgo. It all went tits up. I had my injections, but it kind of just went a little bit pear-shaped. And my mom must have thought to herself, no, this can't be happening. My dad carried on with his activities. However, Mr. Casanova was loaded. Mr. Casanova had money, a lot of money. So what did he decide to do? He decided that he was going to do everything within his power to make sure that his daughter walked. So what did he do? He tried to find a cure. We were Catholic then. So he called upon all the religious leaders from wherever they could come. He also called the Alhajis, you know, those white people with their, God knows, God forbid, you know, but God had a different plan. God had a totally different plan. Mr. Casanova carried on building his empire, and an empire he built. Some of you may not know this. Some may. My dad was wealthy. He wasn't just rich, he was wealthy. He had a bank, we had a plane, he had everything. He was the sole distributor of Renault cars in Uganda and East Africa. He had a carpentry, he had everything. So, why am I sharing this with you? Because I know what it's like to have and not to have. So, next slide, please. A few years later, on the 23rd of December 1989, Mr. Casanova returned home. He wasn't feeling very well. He went to bed. I've kind of skipped this slide, but don't worry about it. Anyway, he went to bed. I think that's the next slide. We can go on to the next slide. So he went to bed on the 23rd of December. We didn't see him. 25th of December, we didn't see him. But not only that, no one came to our home. And not only that, that kind of takes me to the slide that we've just missed. Because when Dad had everything, we had people at home. We threw the best parties in town. The who's and who's of society at the time attended. But there was no one on the 26th of December. There was nobody, you know. Anyway, Mr. Casanova gets taken to hospital, and on the 10th of December, he died, you know. And that's when life started. That's when, a few months later, for those of you that know the way the African tradition works, my father-in-law took over, my granddad took over, and for whatever reason, some mystery, there wasn't money to send us to school. So we were taken out. The first thing, I think, for me, the first realization was when we started going to school very late. So school was meant to start at 8, we were there at 9:30. Why? Because the driver had gone to take the other boss's children to school, and we were the afterthought. And then from that, we started taking taxis to school. I was like, hey, things have changed, you know. But lo and behold, we then ended up in boarding school. What? You know? So I sat my PLE. I was very ill at the time. And then I went to Zambia. But even then, we started going to school a month before school was almost finished. Why? Because there was no money to pay school fees. Not only that, at 10, there's a day when mom did not have money to put food on that table. We actually went hungry. I was telling my kids, I was telling Angelo this on Friday. You know, my brothers, my older brothers, because I had step brothers, for those of you that, or brothers in love, or brothers in Christ, they went to shoot pigeons, and they brought these pigeons home and roasted it on the sigiri, and we ate. And that was the food that we eat. This is not a joke. It's laughable now, but it wasn't laughable then, you know. And then I finished my S4, and that was school gone. Now there's a picture that I showed before. If you just scroll up, there's a picture that has Kitgum Town. If you scroll back up to that building. So for those of you that have been to Kitgum, when you reach Kitgum Town, there's a building, massive building. It's at the center, that building. That building still belongs to my dad, still has his name, and someone still lives there. But we couldn't go to school. So I said bye-bye to school during S4. S4, I couldn't afford to go to school. So for S5 and S6, I had to beg for school fees to go to school. I did do my A-levels, but I wasn't able to pay the fees that was needed to collect my certificate, so that I never got. I know I got something, but I never got that. Anyway, so let's move on to the slide that says United Kingdom. So at some point, God was so good. God remembered me, you know. But by this point, I had come to Christ when I was 13. So every part of my life, I actually lived with faith. You know, so we came to the United Kingdom. I started working. I first started working in a video packing company. I packed goods on supermarket tills, and I was one of the best. I don't regret that time. Then I moved on to HR, and then I did senior leadership. I studied. Then I got fed up. You know why? Because I had set myself goals, and I knew that there was more that I could do with my life, more that I could do. And I felt like in the role that I was in, I was being limited. And I hated what I did, because I would, you know, because we did a lot of things, but whenever I thought about going to work, I got anxiety, you know. So I decided to leave and put my trust in God. In 2021, that's when we opened up our organization, right? So the person that you see here is that person that knows what it's like to have, and that person that knows what it's like not to have anything. I am one of those people that you see or you hear that says, I came to London with 10 pounds in my pocket. You know, I am that person. So here we are. Who is Ade? Next slide. Yeah. So that's who I am. Yeah. I've been in business for over 10 years. Why and how? I was one of those people, when you're going to Uganda on your holidays, you go and buy things in supermarkets, put them in your bag, and make sure that that ticket money that you spent going to Uganda was not going to go to waste. Why? Because you're going to carry creams in your bag and go hawking them to everyone, and making double the amount of money that you actually used to spend that ticket. Yeah? So, who are we? So I own an organization that employs 25 people and counting, paying our taxes. Yeah? We're in the process of developing a care management system that we're planning on selling to other providers, because that's where the future is, technology. And we also have other projects in the timeline. Yeah? So the pictures that you see, one of those pictures, you see my lovely husband who you've never seen. I am married, you know. It's not just a ring. Yeah? And then in the other picture that's over there, it's me and Ariella at my mother-in-law's house, so I can be the dutiful wife. I can be. But I'm also someone who likes daring. You can see me here during one of our team bonding exercises, went with our team, and I was driving that boat at Portsmouth. And then over here, that's my cheyo, you know, that I used to do in Uganda. And then over there, I am the kind of person that actually likes to have a good time. So today I'm going to talk to you about how we got to where we got to and staying on track. So the next slide is staying on track. So now, Let me start by saying that whatever I say to you today, you've had before, many times before, many times. However, the difference that what I say today will be based on a number of things. It will be based on whether you relate to me, whether you believe me, whether my story appeals to you, or how I say it. That's what it all comes down to. But what we're talking about is a repetition of what you've had before from so many speakers. For those of you that read, you've had it all before. But then to see someone like you, and that's why I say there's nothing special about me, to see someone like you stand here and tell you that I did it, so can you, will help. All right? So let's start with staying on track. So what do I think are the things that are going to help you stay on track with whatever it is you're trying to achieve? The first thing is priorities, so just bullet points. So priorities, focus, plan, consistency, discipline, and hard work. So let's start with priorities. Am I too fast for you, or you're okay? You're okay? So the next slide should be priorities, yeah? Okay. So when we talk about priorities, what do we mean? Yeah? The question is, what exactly do you want? Because I'm here, standing here as a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, a go-getter, and you're in your place right now. You woke up this morning, yes, to listen to the blessing that we're going to have from the speaker after myself, but also to find something. There's something that's brought you here today to listen to me. The question is, what do you want? What are your priorities? Because the truth is, we can have so many different things. You have so many different priorities. Why? Because we're human. But the question is, how are you going to prioritize all those different things in order for you to accomplish first of all of them, but one at a time? You need to prioritize. You need to say, this is what I'm focusing on, and I'll come back and look at that in a minute, yeah? So what exactly do you want? How do I prioritize? I use vision and goals. Yesterday I was sitting down in my bedroom trying to get my hair done, and I was looking at my vision board, and something struck me. What struck me was, I do vision boards. For those of you that have attended my vision board session, you know I do vision boards, and I put it right under the light. So where I turn the light on and off every morning, and every time I get out of my room, that's where it is. It's just a sticker board activity. And it just dawned on me, and I was so excited because I was looking at all the things that I've accomplished, and it's July. And this activity was on there, and I was like, oh my God, I did that. But only because it's something that you look at every single day. So what are your priorities? So if I asked you right now, what are you prioritizing? Do you know it off head? Okay, yes, you can't know it off head. But is it visual? So I have it as my phone, like what do you call it, wall thing? You know, like when you turn your phone on, it's the first thing I see. On my computers, it's the first thing I see. You know? So what are your priorities? What are you trying to achieve? Are you trying to save money? Are you trying to stay out of debt? You need to write it down. The word says in Habakkuk, write the vision and make it plain. That's what it says. And you know what's great about being a Christian business person? Let me tell you guys, this is a story for another day. Or for those of you that want to, you can actually give me your details, and I'll send you that book when it's all done. We have God. That's the difference between us and other business people, because the business world is, I don't even know how to describe it, but it can be ruthless and cutthroat. But when you have faith and you have God, it makes all the difference. All right? So that's the definition according to me, not according to the dictionary. That's according to me. I like breaking things down. I don't like using big jargon, because yeah, it might be big jargon, but I don't understand it, so I break it down for myself. So the Lord says in Habakkuk, the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarries, or though it delays, it will surely come, and it will not tarry. What does that mean? For me, what that means in terms of priorities is when you write things down, interestingly, there's a way in which your mind, and for those of you that read a lot, there's a way in which your subconscious mind kind of works to make sure that everything that you have written down or you're working on will come to pass. Don't ask me how, but it genuinely does. I'm speaking from experience. All right? So what does it also mean? Next slide, yeah? It means that the truth is life happens, guys, and sometimes it all becomes a little bit too much. But when it becomes too much, having your vision, your goals, or your vision board written down actually helps you refocus. Because sometimes you need to quiet that noise down in order for you to focus on what you have to do. Life happens, guys. I'll give you an example. This morning you might be thinking, God, she was meant to be speaking at 10 and she arrived at 10. I had woke up at 7 o'clock, prayed and was journaling. I was just about to get my clothes to iron and the phone rang. And I made the big mistake of picking up that phone. So the company phone rang, but I think everyone was sleeping because the manager of the day was out in the field. I picked up that phone, and you know what happened? One of our members of staff who was meant to be starting today had not called the office to say that there were transport difficulties. So one of the other team members called the office, no one was picking up, and then called me and says, I don't know what to do, but this person is not turning up, and she said she doesn't know what time she's going to get there. So I then had to start firefighting and trying to troubleshoot this situation. But then when we go back to what we're talking about later, we'll look at the power of a support network. Because I then got someone else and I was like, please help me because I really need to go to church today. I cannot just not turn up. So that's the reason I was late. It's because I was trying to troubleshoot work. It just never stopped sometimes. All right? But I did manage to get here on time. Yeah? Okay. So that's priorities, right? So now let's move on to focus, yeah? So we'll start with what the word says from a focus perspective. I think there's a slide before, is there? Or am I sharing the wrong? Yeah, the word focus. Okay, I can't seem to see. Do you know what? I can't see that, but okay. That's fine. So in terms of definition, what does focus mean for me? Yeah, so you can go onto the dictionary and see what it says, but what does it mean for me? What should it mean to you? Yeah, so focus. What exactly do you want? Or what do you want to achieve this year? For this season, could be for this season, it could be for the next 5 years, for our kids. For those of us that have kids, it might mean you want your child to go to grammar school, you want to buy a house, you want to invest and get a certain return of investment, you want to save or get out of debt. What exactly? So it's not about if I can. You know that business of if I can. And sometimes we abuse the word because we say God willing all the time. Yes, we should say God willing, but you need to believe as well, okay? So for me, focus is clarity. It's 2020 vision. You have to be focused. And I always say this to my team, you know. I had a boss called Sally Graham. I'm going to make her famous, isn't it? Because I always talk about her all the time. This woman used to say to me, every time I said to her, this cannot be done, she would say to me, Violet, what you focus on gets done. And if we have enough time, because I want to make sure, first of all, I stick to the time I've been allocated, but also give you the opportunity to ask questions. I'll share a very good example of me using that word with my team members and the results of what came up after that. Yeah. So my boss used to say, what you focus on gets done. And it's true. It's very true. And also, Apostle Moses, in his straightforward financial book, on page 93, for those of you that want clarity, yeah, says, what you focus on grows. And it's true. Yeah? So, what does the word say? Yeah? The word says, and some of you that have read this book called Think and Grow Rich, is it Think and Grow Rich, I think? I'm not so sure. It says, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. What you focus on will be what's attracted to you. All right? So let me tell you a story. I don't know if our individuals are here. They are, but let me tell you a story. So this summer, towards the end of summer, for those of you that have children, I have my 2 little ones. They're seated over there. 3, but this story is focused on one of them. Let's move on to the next slide. So many parents, many of you will have attended sports days this summer. My 2 little ones had sports days. However, one of them was talking to me. So she had a swimming gala as one of the sports activities she was going to focus on. So she was talking to me and she asked me if I could attend. I said, I'll attend. She then shared that she was scared. Little Ariella, she said, Mommy, I'm really scared. And I said, why? She diverted the attention. When I asked her, why are you scared? She said, Mommy, you see, the thing is, I don't know how confident I am at swimming, And I said, okay, who's in your team? So she told me who was in her team. And then I said, Ariella, I don't know how we are going to do. But then so Ariella starts saying to me, but you see, Mommy, Amber has a pool. So, she gets to swim really well. She's going to get a medal. I don't think I'm going to get a medal. She's now hiding. She's hiding at the back, Anyway, I said to Ariella, Ariella, let me tell you something. This competition is you against yourself. It's not you against anybody. You need to focus. Focus on the goal. What exactly do you want? Do you want a medal? Do you want to win? What do you want? And I said to her, stay focused. Because if you stay focused, you will get what you're aiming for. So I attended. I went. It was the first time I'd attended these activities. And I tried to share the video because I think the video would help you really conceptualize what happened. So they call Ariella's group. Ariella signed up to do, I think she signed up to do the breaststroke. I think that's what I had on there. She signed up for 2 activities. So she first had the heats. The heats, for those of you that watch the Olympics, you first swim and then they pick the best ones out. So I got there. Ariella's seated at the side of the pool. They then tell them, okay, get ready. She jumps into the pool. But what I found fascinating was Ariella had her eyes on the guy or the person that blows the whistle. All the other kids looked a little bit distracted. Ariella had her eyes on this person. As soon as the whistle was blown, she went for it. She went for it. And she won her hits. Ariella won her hits. So it came to medal time. The second time, she went back into the pool. She swam and she got silver. Why do I share that story with you? Ariella was focused. She was scared when she spoke to me. I spoke to her and I told her, look, you're not competing against anyone. You're competing against yourself. And she went and brought herself a silver medal. Stay focused. All right? And you can see that picture. I'll share a picture of Ariella. I don't know if it's heads up. Yeah? It's quite blurry, but number 2, that's Ariella on the podium, getting her silver medal. Yeah? Okay. So what tools do I use or would I recommend to you for staying focused? If we move on to the next slide. Vision boards. I use vision boards and I encourage you to use it. It's nothing fancy. It's just you getting all the things that you want to achieve for that duration of your time and sticking it on boards and putting it somewhere where you see every single time, every single day. And then I use mine as a laptop screensaver. Have a goals booklet for those of you that write things down. Have it everywhere around you. But above all, review and focus. Take some time to review and focus what you're working on. Have a yearly calendar. That's what we use at work. So I plan all the activities out for the year. Get someone to enter them into the diary. Because you know what? Even when life happens, because it happens, that calendar will pop up. There will be people waiting. You're going to attend, whether you're prepared or not. But above all, it helps you accomplish what you set out to accomplish in the first place. Then have an accountability partner. The pastors are lucky. They've got each other, so they've got great accountability partners. For some of us, that's not easy. Or set it up on a team's calendar, right? So we'll move on to the next one, and that's consistency. So what does consistency mean to me? It means doing something every day that becomes a habit. In layman's terms, what does this mean? It means repetition, doing it every day, every week, every month. Words that are synonymous to consistency are repetition, habit, doing the same thing. Some examples and some of the things that we do subconsciously are brushing your teeth, meals, having breakfast, lunch and dinner, prayer time. Our prayer warrior, Pastor Betty, it's become something that she does without even knowing, waking up at 5 o'clock every morning and praying. Consistency, you have to be consistent in order to achieve what you want to achieve. Yeah? I've kind of put another slide there, but skip the one that says plan and move to the one that says the word. So the word, what does the word say? So the word says, blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He's like a tree planted by the streams of water that yields its fruit in its season, and its leaves do not wither. In all that he does, he prospers. The wicked are not so, but are like chaff that the wind drives away. Therefore, the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the congregation of the righteous. The words I want you to take out of that are, he meditates day and night. And then it goes on to say, in all that he does, he prospers. In whatever you're doing, if you want to succeed, you have to do whatever it is, or you have to do the activities. I think it comes down to activities. Because if it says invest, when you think about investing and you're like, what can I do every day to make sure that I invest? You should always set yourself a question. So one of the things that I would do is say, okay, before I make any financial decision, I'd ask myself, does this help me towards my goal of investing? And if the answer is no, then don't do it. I was told, I don't know what it is, what competition it is that these people who sail ships, yeah? I don't know what you call that competition. Not the rowers, but there's another one of people that sail ships and compete in different games with different countries. I read and I was told that with the British team, they had one question. There was only one question that was going to benchmark every decision that they made. Does it make the ship go faster? Right? So in this church, we should be asking ourselves, does it help us grow more disciples? And if the answer is no, stop wasting your time. Only focus on those things and do those things constantly. Consistency. Be consistent in what you're doing. Yeah. Now back to our story time, right? You always have to tell a story to bring it to life. Let's go back to our swimming gala. So Ariella gets her silver medal. I come home. The young man says to me, how did Ariella do? I said, she got a medal, Azzy. She got a medal. He was like, she got a medal? The pressure became too much, Anyway, so as he put himself down for breaststroke, right? And length, so Ariella swam width, Azzy swam length. But we're going to give Azzy some credit because Azzy swam length, so the whole pool, 20 meters. Ariella swam width. Anyway, Azzy got into the pool. And I had a word with Azzy, and I said to Azzy, I think, we need to ensure that our goals are within our reach. So I said to Azzy, what you need to do, because Azzy was scared as well, but I said to Azzy, what you need to do is you need to finish. That's what you're going to be working on. You need to finish. I said, I need a medal. And then Azzy started saying, Lord, if you just help me get a medal at any of these competitions. Now, for these people's schools, by the way, is not one of those schools where you get participatory medals. No, if you don't get something, you don't get. And there was a child, it was so disheartening, but there was a little child that was crying because she hadn't got a medal. And the school's not going to say to you, yes, no. You win, there's only one winner. Anyway, as he signed up for 2, breaststroke and something else. So I went and I was sitting at the front. and Ozzy jumps into the pool. The first one that he did, he finished. So I was so proud of him. I genuinely was. And I was cheering him on. But Ozzy wasn't very happy because he came last. It's the reality of the situation. Anyway. So he then jumped in to do breaststroke. Ozzy struggled. All the other kids finished. Ozzy was still swimming. Ozzy came to the side. I thought Ozzy was going to give up. But I said to Ozzy, I said, you know what? You can do it. So I was that man that, you can do it, Ozzy. And all the other parents started saying, Ozzy, you can do it. Ozzy, you can do it. Ozzy swam and Ozzy finished. Ozzy wasn't very happy, but I said to him, Ozzy, look, what we wanted was for you to finish, and he finished. But there were some kids there that aced that swimming. Now I got talking to the parents, and I asked them, I said to them, what level is your child on? Or does the child take special swimming lessons? No. Ozzy attends swimming 30 minutes a day, every single week, like most parents here, you know, and those parents as well. But there was a difference between those people's parents and their kids and us. Because I asked the dad, I said, do you pay for extra lessons? He said, no, we go every week. Consistency. We are not consistent. We're not consistent. Not because we don't want to, but again, that's excuses. It's just life. But then Ozzy now knows, and Ozzy will say to me, Mommy, get up, we're going swimming. Because Ozzy wants to make sure that at the next swimming gala, he gets his medals. These children that swam, and let me tell you something, Michael Phelps hasn't got anything on these kids. These kids swam. Some of them, when at the relays, some had already finished, and the other ones were only just starting, and they were determined to win. So what am I trying to say to you? Consistency. It's the things that you do daily, every single time. It's not you showing up, one of them, you know, once every 4 weeks, you know, and then you think that you're going to make an impact. No, that's not going to happen. Yeah? So that's consistency. Then we move on to our next one quickly. So I'm going to go through this quickly. Planning. Planning is another one you need to do. Yeah? How are you going to do what you say you're going to do? After deciding on your priorities, how are you going to get from A to B? You need to plan, you know? So the next one is discipline. We're getting there. What does discipline mean? No matter what you're going to do, or no matter what is happening, you need to show up. Do what you say you'll do. Be where you say you'll be. A very good example is Irene Kamian, her fitness. She gives me, I don't even know. She looks good. And we need to get there. And it's consistency. It's down to consistency. She posts her videos and she's going at it. Every single day, she's going at it. Of course, she'll look good, yeah? What that means is no matter what you feel like, if it's cold, if you've got a headache, show up. You need to show up, yeah? And that's what discipline is. But what underpins discipline is you need to get your priorities right and focus. Because if you're showing up to things you're not meant to be showing up, then what's the purpose? Yeah? Okay? What does the word say? Do you not know that in a race all the runners run, but only one receives the prize? So run that you may obtain it. Every athlete exercises self-control in all things. They do it to receive a perishable wreath, but we are unimperishable. We are unimperishable. So I do not run aimlessly. Focus, planning. Paul's saying that to you. I do not box as one beating the air, but I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified. So in terms of tools to use to support you with that, let's see what we've got. What have we got? Diary, planners, notes, teams. At work, we have a strategy. We have a business planning meeting every 2 weeks. We used to have an 100-day plan, but that has turned into a quarterly and business strategy. In order to ensure we achieve what we set out to do, we have meetings. Some of the meetings that we have are what's happening meetings every Monday, on-call meeting, what's happening on Wednesday, on-call on Monday, finance meeting every 2 weeks. We also have an IT meeting. And we have another rule in our business. There's a rule. Whether or not everyone is in or shows up, these meetings must take place. If you're in, you must attend. If you're off, you catch up. Action points, you complete all the action points. And what I've found is that these meetings keep the engine in the organization growing. Yeah, it challenges us because you don't want to show up at that meeting unprepared. It helps us grow, and only for the ones I run, so it's not only the ones that I run that take place. We are disciplined because these meetings happen a certain day, every time, every day. So the last one, I believe, is, just give me 1 second, I've lost, yeah. So the last one is hard work, yeah? What does the word say? I love this one. A little extra sleep, a little more slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, then poverty will pounce on you like a bandit. Scarcity will attack you. Poverty will find you in your bed. That's the truth. As Christians, we have to pray. Bedrock is, but we also have to get up and do. You need to watch and pray. Watch, but also ask yourself, what is God actually saying to you? So let's look at the tools that we have. Is it the tools that we have? Yeah? Or story time? So this one is really interesting. So when I reflect, and I'll read through it. So when I reflect on how far the organization has come and my peers being more successful than I was, one thing that is evident is that we work hard, and we work really hard. There are times when I've had to resort to being like autopilots because that's what's required. If you like your bed, if you're not willing to sacrifice, you're never going to make it. Somehow, you still have to put in the hard work no matter what. You know, even those of our young kids that are dreaming of being influencers, you know, you do have to put in the work. This means different things to different people, different sectors, and different industries. All right? So, the other thing that you need, and this summarizes what we're discussing today, is support network. You do need a support network. Why do you need a support network? And you also need people to cheer you on, you know. Your support network could be other leaders and entrepreneurs, family and friends, accountability partners. But why do you need them? Why do you need a support network? So let's quickly just, yeah. They put things into context. They take your mind off things, and they cheer you on when you're done. Let me tell you, like I said to you, business is cutthroat, really cutthroat. And sometimes you need to leave things at the door, but also, when you come and talk to someone that's not in it, they'll put things into context for you, so you need that on. But the last bit is sharing on progress, and I want to speak to our community. Team, what I find when it comes to sharing on progress, when a member of the team or the community is starting something, my experience has been, we only cheer on progress when they're done. We don't cheer them on when they're starting out. And let me tell you, they need that. And think about my son. Azariah almost gave up. But I said to him, you can do it. And it wasn't only him. What was really interesting was, when I kept saying to all the other kids, you can do it, you can do it, the mothers also carried on, and they finished. They finished that race. So what are my takeaways from today? Yeah? So, if we can just, yeah? The note from my old boss, what you focus on gets done. Why did I share my past? I know what it's like to have everything and to lose it all. My past may have shaped me, but it didn't contribute in any special way to where I am. What it did do to me is instill adversity, resilience, perseverance. It strengthened my faith and belief in my Ebenezer. There is nothing special about me. The only difference between me and the other 80% is my faith in God and believing that God will come through, belief in myself, and I see the vision. I see the vision. Thank you very much for today.
Questions? Does anyone have any questions? Any, yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I think that was such a beautiful presentation, and thank you, and I really applaud your hard work, and it's quite evident, even in the way you live your life before our eyes, that you're a hardworking person. So I salute you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Did you want to say something? Sure. Okay. You made a comment there towards the end when you say that as a community, perhaps we don't cheer people on when they're starting.
Yes.
I think my question would be, do we know when they're starting? Because I find that sometimes people are private about these things. I personally don't say everything and anything until perhaps it's at a certain stage. So I think it's true for most people. You'll find that sometimes we just don't know that someone is starting. Because I think this community is really good at celebrating and cheering people on.
Yeah, Pastor, I think when I said it as a community, what I meant was the Ugandan community as a whole.
Okay.
It's not actually the church.
LCF, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not, and just clarity from that perspective. And the reason I say that, if you're with, let's say, the reason as to why I say Ugandan community, because every day we preach, and one of the things that we say here is, when God blesses you, He doesn't bless you for you.
Yes.
He blesses you for others.
Correct.
And some of you will know that, when we started out, there were so many applications we got. We were inundated with applications. And I remember sharing with some people, and I said, what we want to do and we should be doing is helping our community, But it's also kind of like a word of encouragement and saying, look, when someone comes to you with their wild dreams and you think they're crazy, be that critical friend, but encourage them on.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah?
Violet, you're my daughter. I've known you for so long. I'm very, very impressed of what you've become and what you are. Not only a businesswoman, you're a teacher as well. You taught us so well today. I knew your dad, I knew your mom, I knew your aunt, I know your auntie. And I became emotional when you were talking about the past, and I said, oh my goodness, if you could only look back and see what you've become. Of course, he's with the Lord, but we don't know what they see, do we? So thank you so much. Just great from the auntie's point of view. Thank you.
Thank you so much.